Well, good morning, everyone, and happy Monday. It's nice to start off this week on a little bit of a green note, getting us back to a place of comfort in terms of price. What I mean by that is ADA is up about 2%. We're floating around 50 cents or so, 49.50 cents. BTC back up above 95K. And I'm sure now a lot of people are wondering, hey, is this going to continue as the week progresses, or are we potentially going to see a little bit more downside? Will we see further retracement? And I do want to talk about that in this video with you guys. Want to highlight a few things going on. Do also want to talk about a comment from a viewer as well that opens up an interesting discussion. So if you guys are new or haven't already, show your support for the channel down below. Hit that subscribe button, that bell. It's free to do. It'll keep you updated anytime there's new content live here on the channel. So yes, ADA is floating around 49 to 50 cents. We actually had a great bounce off the bottom of our structure here. Like we were talking about the inner channel of our descending channel here. ADA continues to show some pretty good support on, and now it's a question of obviously what are we going to get as the week progresses. And I will say it's very nice that we finally got something out of the way in terms of BTC. We did get that close below our 50-week moving average that a lot of people were pointing to and freaking out about. And I want to remind everybody, typically when we've gotten down to these ranges, it's been following Black Swan events. And I want to remind everybody that we just had the largest Black Swan event in crypto history just last month. That's actually what pushed us below our 20-week moving average. So here we sit now, waiting to see if the market's going to recover. I will say BTC showed really good support around that 382 level. We've actually flipped bullish on the daily stochastic RSI, which is a very promising sign as well. On the weekly, we're in a spot where if this week progresses and continues on a green note, you could in fact see us have a bullish cross here, which typically means you're going to see a rally out of it. Now, in terms of ADA as well, same thing going on. Trying to flip bullish on the daily stochastic RSI here. Weekly, on the verge of flipping bullish as well. So that's all setting up on a very bright note, we'll call it. Now, that being said, what we've also seen, got ahead of myself here. What we've also seen here is futures have actually opened green as well. So there's the potential that we could see an early week stock market rally, an early week crypto rally too, and then it's going to really come down to some of that macro data like we were talking about on Thursday. I believe it's when we get the jobs data. So we'll obviously see how those come back. And again, we're trying to get back to a point where the market is confident about an interest rate decrease coming in December. I've seen some people push back and say, oh, no, it's not going to happen. It's coming. The data that we have is terrible. We're going to get an interest rate decrease next month. And the great thing is that the market isn't really prepared for it. The big thing everybody's focused on right now is time. Now, that being said, BTC dominance continues to stay down. We're trying to, again, confirm a push to the downside, which means that alts are actually continuing to show a little bit of strength versus BTC. That's exactly what we want to see. And USDT dominance continues to get rejected off of this longer term trend here, which is very promising for the market here as well. Now, that being said, I keep seeing these announcements keep popping up left and right. We have large entities that are buying and buying and buying. UBS just reported buying 475 million. That's actually not right. It's they actually expanded their portfolio by 25% to $475 million for the BTC. Michael Saylor had announced that Strategy actually bought every single day of the last week. So this is where there's this big disconnect right now. And it really comes down to one thing. And this is why I want to talk about this comment from a viewer. This is from Most Winner. Tends to bust my balls a lot. Appreciate the comment. He said, you honestly need to start saying you were wrong, man, or you're going to lose all credibility. I know it's hard to know where things are going to go, but I think the writing has been on the wall since the new administration took over. And it actually began before that. So this is where I was wrong. I had assumed that because we were following an adoption curve, that we would continue to follow an adoption curve. That's typically the way that adoption occurs. For those that aren't familiar, this is what a mass adoption curve looks like. You're the early adopters, you're the innovators, and then eventually you start to get into mass adoption and things accelerate, and you see the market expand very rapidly. This market cycle, we got to about here, actually last market cycle. And then guess what happened? Instead of following this adoption curve, we flatlined. So it's like I've referenced many times, we have not been seeing new retail come to the crypto market. Right now, we are at the exact same percentage of the world in crypto as we were back in 2022. That's not a market expansion. And really, if we look around the crypto market, market cap shows exactly that. So total 3 minus USDT, which we've talked about before, it shows that we haven't had an altcoin expansion. This is why things have frankly sucked throughout 2025. Because although we've had all these really bullish narratives and exciting news, it's the same people, it's the same money, and we haven't really been able to make confirmed movements. And I've talked about this for a long time now, and actually back in 2024, I started talking very heavily about the manipulation in the market. And what we've seen a lot of this market cycle is, again, institutions and enterprises trying to suppress price, and they've done a pretty good job of it. They have been trying to get their infrastructure in place. And again, they've done a very good job of that. This is why we keep seeing, enterprises buy fearlessly into these dips. It's why we keep seeing institutions launch these ETFs, right? They don't seem to give a shit about the 4-year cycle. They don't seem to care about the fact that all this retail in the space right now is fearful. And you know why? It's because they know where things are headed. They know the market is going to be expanding very aggressively over time. They know that this curve, even though it's been flat, is eventually going to pick back up, and we're going to get back into the masses getting into the crypto market. That's where I was wrong in this cycle, is that we haven't had new retail, and retail tends to move ADA and other altcoins to some of their insane highs. That's why it hasn't happened yet. Now, that being said, again, there are a lot of good things that are working in our favor if we look long term. I'm talking about rate cuts, I'm talking about quantitative easing, the infrastructure, right? There's a lot of things that are going to bring the masses to this space. And even Ben Cohen is in agreement with this, is that a lot of the capital around the market has just moved from asset to asset to asset. I actually just watched this video this morning. He was talking with Altcoin Daily. And I think it's actually from like 9 days ago, but he was talking about the fact that outside of those that have been, overperforming some of those new up and coming top 100 assets, overall, altcoins across the top 100 have been declining. And have been declining since 2022. And that might sound strange because prices have been up, right? But in relation to normal market movements, it's been down. It's in relation to BTC. So that's where this cycle has been very different from what we've seen in the past. So then does that mean that the 4-year cycle is over? Maybe. Does it mean that things are going to be very different? We're going to head into 2026 and have this big boom? Maybe. And the reason why I say maybe is, again, there's so much fear and negativity right now. We're living in max fear. We're living in max pain. And it's just a question of, obviously, how low can things go? How long do we sit here and watch people capitulate? There's a few people I've been talking to lately that have been strongholders for a long time that are capitulating and calling it quits, right? It's a question of, does retail get beat down enough that we go down to some of those lows that we haven't seen since, all the way back in the summer of 2024, or back to the lows of the bear market? I don't think that we're going to go that long, because otherwise it's going to be a really long time for institutional players. And maybe that's what they like. Maybe, again, they just want to wash everybody out of their bags and accumulate as much crypto as they can. I'm sure they do. But here's the thing: is me personally, it's not that I have blind optimism. I'm just not falling for what's trying to be spun right now. All right. I've talked about a long time that I think that this market cycle is broken. I think that we're going to get into mass adoption. And although it's been delayed, it hasn't been destroyed, if that makes sense. So that's my thoughts on that. So yeah, when it comes to, ADA hitting new highs this year, I was wrong. When it comes to BTC hitting 125K, I was right. It's kind of been all over the place. It's been a goofy cycle, but I haven't lost confidence in ADA. I haven't lost confidence in Cardano and what can be done. And we'll obviously see if some of this stuff that we still have coming here in the back, very, very back part of 2025, whether that be ETFs, whether that be, again, interest rate decreases, if these are things to spark up enough excitement to get the capital that's in the market moving from the sidelines back into the market, and if we can eventually finally start seeing some new retail enter the space. So I appreciate you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts below, but have a great day. Catch you guys in the next one. Take care.